Hi people, how are you all? Be back to my YouTube channel. I'm Victoriana Knows. In case you're new here and in case you're returning, thank you very much. So today I'm having a visitor. This visitor, I think I was supposed to host her like some 2 months back.
Long ago.
Some 2 months back, but because of some reasons here and there, I wasn't able to host her, but finally she's here. She's a COVID survivor. It is the reason I'm actually hosting her, and she's going to be telling us more about COVID. I've heard some people say in Uganda we do not have COVID. Is it true? She'll be telling us, but first let her introduce herself. You're welcome.
Thank you, Victoria. My name is Nagasha Laura. I'm not going to say my age. I'm a Ugandan.
Okay.
And as I do business, I have a catering company. We do lunch buffet in Bugalori.
Okay.
Yeah, feel free to send me some business. Yeah, what else can I say? Nice to meet everyone on this channel. Please subscribe, and yeah, I got COVID-19.
Okay, I know we are laughing about it and it's not funny, but yes, she's fine. She's a COVID-19 survivor. How did you realize, or how did you get to know that you actually have COVID, or where did you get it from?
So, because it's an airborne disease and like the way it's transmitted, honestly, it's hard to tell, like if you got it on a surface, in the airport. I had traveled to Dubai in March.
Okay.
I was supposed to spend like 1.5 weeks, but I cancelled the trip.
You're supposed to spend 1.5 weeks in Dubai.
Yeah, I ended up coming after 2 days because I was like, you know, the atmosphere was changing, and like I would rather be stuck at home than in quarantine than out abroad.
Yeah.
So luckily when I came, the airport was still open. And Dubai was not yet a high-risk country, so they let us through. And so it gets you thinking, like, it could have been anywhere there, because there was no kind of measure at that time. People got serious when we registered our first case of COVID in Uganda, and that's when like people were kind of scared. There were anyone who had entered an airplane, because normally you tell people I'm traveling, so people, you know, they start calling you, have you checked, it was a witch hunt. So we had to go and check, just, you know, so you can go and tell people, see my results, I'm negative, I'm okay, leave me alone.
Okay.
So that's why a lot of travelers were rushing to hospitals. It's not like they were sick, they were just like, you know, let me just redeem myself in the community. So we went and tried to get tested, and yeah, then they brought my results that I'm positive. But you can't know where you picked it up. Someone could have touched you then you touch your face. I don't know. And now these days, research is saying that is not the main cause of the spread.
So when they brought back the results, you're positive. What happened after giving you the results and you're positive? How did you feel about it? And
I was very scared. The first thing is, when I came back from abroad, I was feeling that body weakness and like as if I had a bit of flu, but nothing serious. Like I get Ugandan Seneca and it puts me down for like a week. I wasn't sick, no. And the body weakness also, it's something you could easily have thought of as fatigue. So I didn't get any serious symptoms, I won't say. But after about 13 days is when I got my results, meaning I had been in Uganda 13 days already. So by the time they even gave me my results, they just picked me up in 2 ambulances, one for me and the second one for the people I was with in the house. So they rushed us to hospital immediately. Immediately to isolation. My friends were taken for testing, the ones I was staying with. And again, luckily, we were not really you can really try and use sanitizer in the house and self-quarantine, but how much can you really protect yourself? So I don't know how, but they were all tested negative.
Wow, that's great.
So that was a relief for me, but then now we had to stay in hospital. You don't know what next. You don't know if you're now going to die. It's a new disease in the whole world. So yeah, we were there. They were taking good care of us, like round the clock. Yeah, then I spent about 19 days in Ulago.
is there a particular treatment that they are giving to these people? Because there's a video, I think last week, that was circulating where a woman in Masaka, if I read well, Masaka Isolation Center, she said they are not being taken care of, they are not being given medicine, they are just there. Literally, the conditions that they are in are not good enough. What's your take on that?
So, for us, honestly, when we first got to the hospital, they were barely giving us drugs, honestly. There was barely any, but I figured they were still assembling teams because we were like kind of like the first victims, and they also didn't know the procedure. So it's like we were all on a learning curve. After like you don't have anyone you can ask, how long am I here for, what next, like. So but after like the first 3 days, the doctor started checking on us more, then they increased the, like, things got better because it's like they were also learning as they were going, and they were scared of us. But you could see after like a week also the doctors were less scared of us, because I think they were saying all the patients we have are actually not in bad shape, they're okay. So it's crazy because the people, they've kind of reduced the population in the Mulago hospital, and it's as if now all the cases are in those other hospitals. They're sent in Masaka, Hoima, Entebbe, Grade B, and other places. So me, I honestly don't think the problem is the healthcare. Sorry, I don't think the problem is the health, like from the disease, like the impact of the disease, because I think as Africans our immunity is handling it well. But
so before we continue,
the healthcare is what's bad. Like there are some people who are coming from Ginger and will join us like in Kampala, and they would say that, why are you hanging your thing there? They'll steal it. Do you want me to help you watch it? And I'm like, no. No one been stealing anything. And you could tell there's a distinct difference between the healthcare we're getting in Mulago and what people up country were getting. So I have a feeling it could be that.
So you talked about somewhere about African immunity. We've had, I don't know whether it's true that we as Africans, our immunities can actually handle that disease. But then some time ago, I think that was like a month or 2 months ago, there's a report that came out that Black Americans were dying more of COVID compared to even other people in those countries. What's your take on that? Why do you think the Black American community was dying more compared to, the white community?
So honestly, and this is just my opinion, like it's not official, I think a lot of the news that was being reported is not really what was happening. Because when like for example when they admitted us, what you know is what you've been seeing in the media, what you've been seeing on TV, and this is like people are dying. Every time you turn on the news, people are dying. They're reporting more of the deaths because that's what's serious, but then they're also not focusing on reporting to people that just the majority of the people are the ones curing. You might find that majority of the people in like the Black American communities had it, but they were not necessarily dying from it. And you see, like generally in the world, people still die every day, regardless of the virus.
True.
So I don't know honestly what people are reporting, because they say that it mostly affects people with like pre-existing conditions, then the aged. But then when they're reporting, if someone was already dying from their condition, then you say it's corona that killed them. How sure it's not?
Last week there is a video of some people that came out. I think it's last week dancing? Yes, now that is the second one. There is another one that I think that came out in, I think not March, is it April? I think in April. There's another video that still came out of people recording themselves in the isolation center. They are rejoicing and also dancing. to a normal Ugandan, to me, it doesn't portray a good picture. It actually speaks something different. And when you look at the comments people were giving every time someone posted that, they were a little bit discouraged. They are telling them that there is a virus. They are telling people there is isolation.
People are dancing.
People are now in the hospital. These same people who are affected are the ones in the hospital dancing. What kind of image is that? What can you tell to such people?
I think honestly, the image they're trying to show is that, one, we're healthy.
Yeah.
In as much as we're in isolation.
Okay.
This is how, yes, we have been told that we have the disease, but this is our current condition. Because there's a tendency for people out there to imagine that if they've told someone they have COVID, when they're in Mulago or wherever they are admitted, they're what? They're maybe ventilators, they're in ICU or something.
Of course, that's what people imagine.
So I think the image they're trying to portray, because what happens, like in America, they have like hotlines where they call in case your condition is bad. But apparently they were just, everyone they would tell you to isolate in your home.
Yeah.
Yeah, only if your condition is bad, then you go to hospital. Now here, they're telling people to go into isolation in Mulago, even when they're not really
asymptomatic,
like they've been saying. So you can't really, I don't think for them they were doing it in a bad way. I think they were doing it for themselves. It's not about anyone. It's about them. They wanted to show people maybe how they're doing, how they're faring, and that they're okay.
Okay. So, were there interactions just like those people were interacting? Do you guys have such interactions? You can greet the other patient. I saw some COVID-19 survivor in Nigeria who said that they would pray, they would visit each other. Yeah? So did you guys have that? You were praying, you would encourage each other. What was it like?
So when we were in hospital, basically, because the numbers were very low, we had spacing, good spacing. You'd be like in a whole this whole corridor, which has maybe a capacity of 6 beds, and they're like only 2 people or like one person.
Okay.
So there was really isolation, and like when you're few, because at the time it was still obviously new, we are scared as well. Even if fear is a real thing, because generally we were so scared. I was crying when they just told me, but my health was fine. Like technically I was okay, but I was scared.
Of course.
So when we were inside, we started sharing.
Yeah.
You'd meet this maybe Hajat, she has been traveling from Dubai. You meet another lady, maybe she had gone to see her children in the UK. So we were mostly travelers, so we were constantly asking each other, where did you come from? How are you? You're like, me, I'm okay. So eventually you started to realize, like, okay, we're fine, okay. So we are now here for a long time in Mulago. What else can we do? So you start to interact with others. It's also a little bit lonely. So it was really easy for us, and like we started to share information. We started to know what is happening with the other people. Thank God for us, we're in isolation. The people in the post-quarantines and hostels are suffering more. Like, we just really tried to make the best of our time inside, and that's when I actually decided to write the article and start sharing and just speaking about stigma, because people outside in the communities were really acting a bit crazy and panicking, and violence to the people that are suspected to have the disease, like just chaos. Like people were really, and I know it's from fear, but I feel like the air has calmed down a bit now that people are more informed. Yeah, so it was from also ignorance, and also people didn't know, they were scared, they were panic, so little information on the disease. Yeah.
So you started writing articles about the disease. In Uganda, you're actually the first person who came out to publicly say that, you know what, I survived COVID-19. How did it feel to you coming out? Where did you get from the courage to come out and say, you know what, I'm actually writing this article, I'm actually willing to do interviews, I'm actually willing to go there and say, well, you know what, I've survived this. Yeah.
So Honestly, I hate bullies, and it got to a point where you're trying to focus on recovery. They're telling you to talk about things. This one tells you this, all kinds of advice.
I know.
The internet had so many videos of you're doing everything. You're scared. Meanwhile, you're okay actually health-wise. You're really okay, but I mean, back Gambia, you have COVID, so you're scared. So you're trying to focus on all that and recovery in hospital. It's traumatizing as it is, just being away from friends and family.
Yeah, it is.
And the lockdown is happening. People's our businesses are not working. We are all there, and people outside instead are criminalizing patients. They're treating us as if we are suspects, so criminals.
I know.
If, you got COVID, you've killed a person, or they're even pointing fingers. She must have gone around spreading the disease.
I know.
So everyone is now a COVID expert. All of us yesterday didn't know anything about this disease. Now all of a sudden she should have been in quarantine doing this. People were pointing fingers, making blame accusations, just looking for travelers. There's a certain lady, they called police for her, that she's traveling and she hasn't got tested. When they checked her passport, she had last traveled 6 months before even COVID had started.
Wow.
So there was a lot of, I think it was like a witch hunt against us. It was a bit crazy. But yeah, we managed, as in I had to just say, you know what? I can sit here and feel sorry for myself with all the words people are talking about me. Oh, I can actually do something positive with it.
True.
They say when life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Yeah.
So kind of that's what I decided to do. I decided to write an article, and I thought of telling people, reminding people, when someone is sick, people when someone is sick, your reaction is not supposed to be ridicule, or you're supposed to have compassion. You're not supposed to now talk ill of someone. They're a victim, they're a patient, not a criminal. So it's imagine hating someone for flu, or covolaring someone because they got sick. You wouldn't do that to your family.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
So even if it's a new disease, I think people just in times of crisis need to learn not to just panic and just kind of try to be careful, be cautious, but don't treat others badly. So I was like, you know what, let me just, okay, some people know, some people don't, but is it a crime? Wait, I was traveling, I also don't know how I got this thing came from China.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Prince of England got the disease. I mean, no one is should they all start going to hunt down who could have given them the disease?
No, they couldn't.
I mean, it's a disease. So Ugandans, I think their attitudes are a bit bad, and I was like, let me come out and say I got COVID and see if I will die, because I think I have nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
So I went out. I told people about just acting compassionate and remembering that you're safe, you have health, you're at home, you can protect yourself. This person is in hospital, who should be scared?
Yeah.
You were that person. I wanted kind of people to get out of that funk of pointing fingers and just try and react better to people because in the hospital there were people who had it worse. Me, I was speaking mostly, I think, for even others than myself, because my family was really okay. My friends were supportive. I was just so thankful. It was unbelievable.
Glory to God.
Yeah, because I honestly, it was to a point where they've told you have COVID, you're panicking, you're crying, and people are hugging them aren't you going to get the disease? But then they're we've been together every day, so now in this moment is when I'll you get.
Oh,
I've got
God
it
bless
already.
them. Yeah.
Yes, so it was a bit encouraging, but when you talk to other people and someone's telling you the whole village is, even the workers are having it rough, because they're saying you were working at that home of those COVID people, don't come near me, and the MPs are going into radios and saying this family yasiga no mwana neche, and they're outing people on the radios. It was bad actually. There's some Hajat who had it rough. She had her family, and there's other people who were told that, like, Tokomawa, don't come back to this house, like, don't come to kill us. People had to, like, senguka, look for other homes because they were kicked out where they were renting. It was bad. So I was like, you know what, if this can do something, then let me speak. As if they call me COVID, then it's okay.
Yeah, thank you for coming out, because that is a bold step. Many people, I've watched different people being interviewed, but they usually, hide their faces, because I think because of stigmatization, which leads me to that point where you talked about stigma. Some time back, I was watching news, and the people of Hoima, one of the places in Uganda that has been muchly affected by COVID is Hoima. So people came out in Hoima and they were isolating people. They didn't want anything, like you said, to do with anyone who came out with COVID. What is your take on stigma?
I think for me, my biggest question to the public would be that if the government comes, tests someone, the person they take their swabs, they take them to Intervirus Institute, they come back and they say, in your blood we found the virus of coronavirus, and then they say, so for that reason, because you might be contagious, let's take you out of the public and keep you alone until you're free of that virus. And then the same ministry then the public believes you. They're like, oh, you're there or whatever. They know you're in hospital. And then the same health workers and the same government and the same organs of the government decide that they've tested you. Then they've tested you the second time just to make sure. And then now they're like, after the second test, you can now be free to go back into the community. But it's a double standard, because you believe that I was negative, but mania positive, but you can't believe that now it's tested negative. Yet the same people who told me that now to be safe, you be in hospital, and then they're now like, you're now safe, you can go back to the community. So people need to stop reasoning with emotion and prejudice, and try and kind of learn the facts and trust that if the government is trying to fight this thing and keep you safe, why would they get someone who is sick and say go back and be in others? So let's just try and keep faith and trust the system, and not just be one-sided of someone is sick, but that means they're supposed to be sick forever. No. So let's just be more understanding, and like, I think, try and welcome people back without, they've already been through a hard time. If you add on stigma, then I don't think it's even in any religious denomination that is like the way to behave towards each other.
Sure. That the lockdown has been eased a little bit in our country, a little bit, because of course we know some people are not yet back to work, and some people went back to work, cars were late to move, of course with some restrictions and all those things, some regulations to follow. Some people have interacted with some people who are saying that, you know what, COVID is a scam. It is not there in Uganda. What is your take on that? What do you tell to a Ugandan who thinks that in actual sense there is no COVID in Uganda? People are now back to, I've walked to places where people do not use sanitizers, people do not use masks, people are no longer caring about it being in Uganda, because they believe that, you know what, no, it isn't there. What do you tell to such people?
Victoria, like the specific to Uganda, what has hit us the most is not necessarily the effects of the virus. In the sense of health, it has been the effects of the virus on people's socioeconomic livelihoods.
True.
So when you think about, you don't know where the food of tomorrow is coming from. The kids are looking at you. Your wife is looking at you. Your business is closed. You have no source of income coming in. And you start seeing videos of people dancing in hospital.
True.
There's no way you're not going to like take it less seriously and say focus on your actual problems more. Because this is a person thinking, why why are our businesses closed? Why am I not earning money? I have loans, I have these problems.
True.
Like all these things are happening, and it doesn't mean that the bills stop.
They can't.
They've
wait
never
for
stopped.
You,
They won't wait for COVID. And it ceases to make sense for people why there's still strict regulations up to now, when they've noticed that the severity of the disease is not really there.
Yeah.
When you know that there's still people dying from more serious diseases, when you know that there's still mothers who are dying giving birth and all those things. So it becomes kind of like, because I can tell you that Victoria right now, in like 2 days ago, I was talking to like the NTV people of Kenya, and the reason they said they wanted to interview me wasn't because they don't have their own survivors to interview, but they wanted to share kind of with their people from other countries, sharing and trying to convince their community that there is actually COVID-19, because Kenyans have stopped believing that there's COVID-19 as well.
I know.
And there's also the case of Tanzania, which has a president that totally as if does not believe in it, and has left his country operational. So people are now thinking, was he the clever one or was he the stupid one?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to have to be up to our government to put serious regulations, but also to kind of let people get back into work mode, because the bigger problems in Uganda, I won't speak for other countries, than COVID-19. One, we've not registered any death. This is a very contagious airborne disease that if by now, I do not, like if say people are not wearing masks, people are moving around, if this was a very serious disease, like I do not think Ugandans right now would be, would have at least some very good deaths. I'm very sure. People in lockdown were still, let's speak facts, people were still moving around, having house parties, doing all sorts of things, and not social distancing. So it has to come to a point where I think they will have to see, like, you know what, let's go back to normal, because maybe for us here, it's not really a killer disease. But I honestly can't lie to you that it's not there, because you never know what underlying condition you might have or something. I can say this and then tomorrow it affects someone differently and they die or they end up in ICU. But thank God the government put a new program. I don't know if you saw, I posted on my Instagram, where they now they made research and discovered that us who got the disease, when you cure, your blood can cure another person who is like in ICU. Yeah, because we have antibodies. The thing is, like, when you get a disease and then you cure it, your body creates memory cells, so that next time you get malaria, it's not like when you first got it. Like, you can cure it. Your body, okay, not malaria, let me use like flu, I think. If you cure from flu right now, you can't get it again tomorrow, even if you're with someone who still has flu. So it's kind of like that. So they started a thing where we can donate blood to help others in case they end up in some kind of in a bad condition. People who get COVID and end up like in ICU. So if they transfuse and give them like our blood as the survivors, they can actually within the same day they can be cured out of ICU. That's how powerful it is. So it kind of also makes you wonder. Imagine you stigmatize someone, tomorrow your family member or someone is dying and they have to use that person's blood to save them. So it just, as an eye-opener, I think we should definitely do better. But as of now, our blood, they even paid us money. Our blood cures. So instead of stigmatizing COVID survivors, instead you should know that they are even less at risk than you who is healthy.
So I heard about reoccurrences in other countries, not particularly our own country. What do you think is the cause of reoccurrences? Why are some people getting back COVID after healing? Like you said, they are using your blood. Now we also have heard of people who are actually getting that disease again, yet they had already suffered from it. What do you think this, how do you think these people are getting it?
So, yeah, there was that report. There was a lot of those reports, and from different countries. And then later on, they all reconciled and found that all the people that they thought had been reinfected had actually not been reinfected. What the test that they tested was that showed that they still had the virus was apparently dead corona cells that they explained it like your body has got the virus, you've cured, so the dead cells live in your body. So those are the traces that they thought meant this person still had the virus. And when they also did further studies, they later found that those people with those, even with the dead cells that could have mistaken it to be that they are reinfected, were not able to be transmitted to another person. For example, how they tested me, I had already been in the country half a month. And what they tested, they found there was as if a virus, but those could have already been dead corona cells, and I could even have already cured by the time they got to me, because I'd already been here for a while. And because I went to the hospital in like April towards the end, and I had come back to Uganda like mid-March. So it again, they've been finding out new things over and over again, because even the other day, World Health Organization was saying something about how people cannot really get it from, is it surfaces and something, but they're starting to learn that as much as they were taking precaution, like it can be spread in any way, it's an airborne disease. They're realizing that some of the ways are not really valid, that maybe you have to be talking to someone in close contact for a while, or live with them even before you get it, before you transmit it, or that just being in, or you have to be in one room, let's say like a cinema, with people for a good space of time with not good ventilation, and maybe it will be transmitted, and AC and those things. So I think that we are realizing it's not as deadly or as contagious as earlier reported. And technically they said those people that they thought were infected were not actually infected.
So there was a TikTok something, TikTok video, a TikTok, is it video? It's a TikTok video that was going around. Do you know someone who knows someone who has corona? How did you feel about that? Because I looked at it and I'm like, I think Africans, we are not being serious. We are taking things for granted.
Do you know someone who has corona? Do you have a cousin who has a friend? So for me, it was just funny. I learned to kind of make humor and laugh about situations that you can't change, because my friends on my birthday made for me a cake, and one of the cakes said, "Happy birthday, young COVID." So I think I realized that humor helps to take the seriousness out of situations, and people need to, I think, relax a bit and not take everything. I don't take life so seriously, I think, generally, because we're really visitors on this earth. It's too short to take. So I just normally like to make jokes so that people also like stop fearing me. I am in food business. I expect them to come back as customers. Who will come and eat my food if they're like, oh, Naina Corona? So I've been also doing it for others as much as for myself, because I really face the stigma.
So the time you announced that you survived a corona to date, how has it been? Is there anything that has changed about you? Okay, we've talked about stigma, or has there anything positive or negative that has happened to you as a person, and you feel like, oh, this came and it's maybe a blessing in disguise, this came and maybe it's bad? What has it been like?
I think it's been a blessing.
Oh, that's great.
I always tell my friends that corona is the best thing that could have happened to me, and they laugh. They're like, you're not serious. I remember when I was in lockdown, I'd be like, can't I maybe miss the hospital? And they'd laugh. But honestly, I don't actually take life seriously. I was genuinely thinking, I'm in lockdown every day, I'm spending, and I don't have any money
Yeah.
that's coming in. I'm just fulmiering.
Sure.
So I will in the hospital. I was getting free food every day, lunch, breakfast, evening tea, and supper. So it was in relation to the actual economic situation. And when I'd say like the best thing that happened to me, I'd tell my friends that people were actually so scared that they thought, oh my God, Laura has corona. They were sending me money. They were sending me. So, and technically, I was also scared, but I was okay. I was also scared, but it's not the worst thing I've ever been suffering from.
Yeah.
So I started to look at things in a positive way and stop being negative and like my life has ended because of corona.
Yeah.
When the truth is, that is still one day. So in as much as like, okay, yes, you got a few symptoms here and there and you think that must have been corona, I believe many people have gotten it, many people have healed, and they just didn't even know they got it.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that all these Ugandans who are very careless have not got. So I think if they did a check and checked for post antibodies, they already got it, but I just think we've been blessed. It's not our power, it's not our might, it's not our magazine, it's just God's grace that we've gotten through this. Because indeed, anyway, I think other people are losing lives.
Okay. So week that you're in, I work from Chikobo. Rumors came. Actually, they were not rumors, but they announced that they are going to be checking everyone who comes in Chikobo, and they said that they had started doing it on Owino. I've not gone to Owino to confirm whether it's true. I've not heard it from anyone who works in Owino that it's true, but I heard that the government is going to do it, and that I heard that even in Chikobo, it's going to be a must that before you go in Chikobo, you have to be checked by the government. Do you think it is right for government to check people?
I honestly believe that so many what there's that saying, like there's so many about you can't ways to kill something. Anyway, basically there is not one way of doing things.
Yeah.
That's a very extreme measure, and I don't think it's right. Because there's new technologies that first of all have come up where people have put that, like, those metal detectors.
Yeah.
Now there's like as if that thing like a metal detector which someone goes through, but instead it has a thing that splashes like disinfectant or you wear like a colorless thing to cover your eyes or face, and then you enter that thingy detector, it sprays your body, and then you continue and enter the mall over the plaza or whatever you're entering.
Yeah.
So with all these new developments, just like how there are masks for the people protecting themselves from the air connecting, there are so many other ways to, like, there are different new technologies that have come up. You can't say that the only way that is to first make everyone test in a country, moreover, which hasn't even been that affected. We have no tests. Like, I think that's a bit extreme, especially because downtown is a heavy place for business, and right now it has been closed the longest, and people are really suffering. You don't know what's behind someone's business, what loans they've got, and to close people's sources of income for that long, I don't think it's fair. So I pray that our leaders do better and find quick, not just solutions, but quick solutions, so that we can get out of this COVID lockdown phase, because I feel like we should know enough right now to implement like some new policies so that people don't have to suffer, especially financially, because how do you survive otherwise? How do you feed your family or yourself? Yeah.
True. Your last word to every Ugandan out there. First, to the people who think that we don't have corona. Secondly, to the government, and thirdly will be to a COVID survivor.
Okay. I don't think the virus is there. I don't think that's a fair assumption, because we should really be careful first. When we are really sure it's not there, then you can but you can't just assume and then believe in your assumption with no proof.
Yeah.
So for now, let's still like stay, let's still continue to follow the government guidelines in the sense of protecting ourselves and others. Yeah, until we know for sure. But for now, you can't honestly prove that there is no corona when you're seeing what's in how the whole world has been affected.
Sure.
So message maybe to
government.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to really thank the frontline workers, those people that just didn't know what this is and just still put themselves out there to help us and just take care of the patients, and they're still doing it. And I know some of them are even in isolation because some of them contracted it, and all because they were helping others. So that's heroic. Those are the people that we should always celebrate. And like, I just want people to, yes, thank you our leaders, thank you for all those things. We ask that they try and help us get out of this crisis, but mostly I want to thank the doctors and the health workers. Okay.
And then to a survivor out there who has been stigmatized or who feels like I will never come out to say I suffered from this.
So the survivors, my fellow COVID people, I just want people to kind of remember to stand firm in their truth.
Yeah.
Because then you fall for anything. People will always say things, even if it's not COVID. People will always put each other down. People will always do those things. But if you're confident in your truth, I think it can help you stay sane. If you know...
You're welcome. Thank you for accepting to do this interview, because many, like I said, many are not willing to do it. Many are not willing to disclose that they've actually suffered from coronavirus. So you've had it from a survivor, not from me, because me, I'm not a survivor. I'm sitting with her, as you can see. She survived it and she's fine, and she's willing to tell her story. So
and
thank you.
Donated blood.
For you out there who may, contact the virus and you don't even know, and you're told, you know what, you have the virus, someone who actually was healed will help you. So thank you, Nagasha, for your time. She's Nagasha Raula, like you've heard. She's a COVID-19 survivor, and the first one who came out to say that, you know what, I survived COVID-19 in Uganda. Next time, remember to subscribe.